everyone, this is Tina with Tia's Treasures, and today I have for you Simon Says Stamps January 2022 card kit of the month. This kit is chock full of snowman, and it's just got some really cool papers and some different stuff that comes with it. Now here I'm taking some Bristol Smooth cardstock, and I am just stamping all the snowmen and all the trees that came in the stamp set onto this piece of paper. And I am going to be using some VersaFine black onyx ink. Now the reason I like the VersaFine, I love VersaFine almost for everything, but I am using some Zig Real Brush markers for this, and they work beautifully to watercolor with or to use the Zigs. I'm not sure. I think I would use different ink for Copics. So I've got my Zigs in a box right now, and here you can see my little swatches. Now I could take little dots and put the numbers on the lids that match the colors, which might be the easiest way to do because the colors are just on the side where I showed you there. I've got this sped up pretty quick, so you know my talking sometimes is slower than my actual my video. So I'm just coloring the little noses in on orange, and I'm not going to be doing any sort of shading for the orange noses. Now here I'm trying to figure out which color I'm going to use for this background I made. It's kind of a sneak peek. I do show you this card with that background later, but I want to get my snowman colored up to match it. So I brought in some little pinks for everybody's cheeks, the ones that you see anyway. And for the first two snowmen that I color up, I am going to be using some like teals. I think this color here is actually a turquoise blue, but once you blend it out, it's got that real pretty turquoise color. And then I also use some light blues for the other snowmen. Now I'm only going to show me coloring up this first snowman with the teals. I believe I come in and show you the second snowman that I colored up with some reds and blues and purples. Now I could, I guess, like just put some music on while you watch me color, but music is so it's so subjective that I just feel that I'll probably pick something that nobody but me would like, or that only half of you would like. So I'm just going to continue to talk, which probably only one of you likes, and that's probably me, but hey, that's okay. You know, I've got to do something to entertain myself. As you can see, I'm kind of, I've got these, like, I'm wearing pajamas because the wind chills when I was doing this were like in the negative numbers, and I just decided I was going to keep my cozy lounging pajamas on because they're nice and toasty warm. They're like wearing a sweater. So, you know, I've got like a bunch of socks and my slippers, and it's like, no, I'm not changing today. I got nowhere to be, and it's cold out there. So that was me yesterday when I did this video. And it's still pretty cold out there. It's 28 now. That's not too bad, I guess. It's better than the wind chills like in the negative zeros, but I still think it's cold. I don't like the cold weather. And honestly, I'm not a big fan of real hot weather either, unless I'm next to water, in which case, yeah, put me in a swimsuit and I am just happy as can be. If I had my way, you know, my next life, maybe I better be born like on the beach. Of course, that means I'll be born in some place that's going to flood, and it will be nasty, and I'll have like malaria. And okay, I digress. So here I am getting everything colored up. You see, I've did the pinks and the little teal colors, and I was trying to figure out what color to do the mittens, and I made her little buttons yellow, so I decided to do the mittens yellow. Um, I wasn't real sure. I wanted her mittens a different color than the pink or the teal. So hence, you know, the yellow. I had a hard time with this stamp set and these papers. Well, it wasn't the papers, it was me. I had a hard time deciding what colors that I wanted all of these snowmen to be. Now, the teal ones were pretty easy because I had, with the Gina or the Simon Says Glitter Glitz gel, that was, a tealish color. So it was really a simple choice to choose that. But here you see I'm doing some purples in on this snowman. And I'm going to be doing purples. I'm going to be bringing in a red. And I'm going to be coloring the present blue. So that's 3 colors right there. And then the other little tiny snowman that's going to be on the card with him, I bring some blues in, and I'm not really sure. Do I do purples? I should probably look. Purples. Yeah, I do bring a few purples into the other snowman as well. And I do end up making their little buttons yellow. I do all the buttons on all the snowmen yellow. I know yellow buttons aren't really a thing, but then, neither are snowmen wearing coats and hats. They might have a scarf on occasionally. So, take what you will from that. And I did enjoy, I really liked coloring these up. And I didn't fussy cut them. I did use the Brother Scan cut, and it cut them pretty well except for one tiny spot where I think I didn't have it adjusted right, and it cut off a little bit of the fringe on my top right snowman on the scarf, and it cut a little bit off of one of my trees that I colored. The tree, and I was able just to cover with another tree, and the fringe, you can't even notice if you didn't know, so it was all good. And I'm just adding a little gray, and I'm going to shade that out a little bit. I'm using a blender pen with these zigs instead of a water brush, but you can use both. I haven't tried a water brush yet, but that's what I hear. One of these days I'll get around to trying the water brush on it. And I also want to try them on some watercolor cardstock instead of the Bristol smooth cardstock that I'm using. But it just shades, these things shade so pretty. Copics, you got to bring in the different colors to get them to shade, to do some shading. And here with these, I just kind of color a little bit around the edges, and then I can pull out the color so it looks like I know what I'm doing. And trust me, I don't know what I'm doing. So, if I don't know, I'm sure anybody can do this. It's really, they're nice to work with. So I want to take some different cardstock and try, and my water brush, but I don't like wasting time and paper, and so I should just get over it and do it just in case. I mean, it might turn out beautifully and nothing will be wasted. I had to take a drink of tea, excuse me. You'll probably hear me do that a couple more times in this video. Simply because, I had to take a little bit of cold medicine for a stuffy nose. And it just dried me up so bad. My nose is just, I don't know if it's allergies. It's just, it likes to run. And that's not what you come here to hear about, is it? Well, I was going to show you just me coloring up one of these trees to try to save some time. And it turns out that I colored all 3 trees at the same time. So, when I do stuff like that, I'm going to have to be mindful of the video so I can, just show one. So the colors I'm using for the trees are Zig light green, green, and dark green. That's their actual colors. And I'm just trying to flick a little bit on, and little lines, tiny little lines that are barely bigger than dots for these trees. And then I'm going to blend it out, each color, and I'm going to repeat with the darker color. And it doesn't look that great when I get to the green and we blend that out, but by the time we get to the dark green and put that on top and blend it out, I really like the way the trees looked. I mean, I didn't think I could do trees too well, But after looking at these trees when they're done, I'd say I know what I'm doing. Even though, again, I really don't. But, you pretend enough, and I think sometimes, I think that's half the battle sometimes. If you can pretend something, you can usually do it. Imposter syndrome and all that make us think that we're all just pretending. But I think we all have a lot more talent than we give ourselves credit for. And I've only been card making for maybe a year and a half, and I decided to jump into YouTube with both feet because I figured there's probably a lot more of you who haven't been card making that long either. And I do try to keep my mistakes in just so you're not the only one who make them. And if you've been making cards a lot longer than me, I hope you stick around just because you enjoy listening to me or laughing at me, one of the two. Either way is good. I'm just glad you're here. So here I am finishing up with this. And I do want to try to do some trees with some Copics and see if I can make them look half as good as these zig trees. But, one of these days, one of these days, maybe I'll record that for you. Of course, I don't have a lot of faith that y'all want to see me do like Copic coloring because every time I've done it, it takes a long time. Now here I am on card number 1, and I've taken this real pretty blue pattern paper with the stars, and I'm cutting that down to 4 by 5 1/4. Now it's on an A2 card base, and I've got this A2 size background card panel right there that I'm going to glue the pattern paper on. As you can see, I cut the middle out because I'm using it for my sentiment. And the sentiment is sending happy thoughts your way. And I already went ahead and I used some gold embossing powder on that, the sentiments with the kit. And that's because there's so many gold stars, I wanted to match them. And I've got some leftover glitter cardstock here in white from Pink and Maine it's just beautiful. So I'm using that as my snowbank. I wish I had more of that left over. I don't have a whole lot of it. I have like half a sheet, but I'm hoarding that, which I shouldn't do. So I'm putting my little 2 snowman here, and I decide that I am going to pop them up. So you get to see me try to figure out exactly where I'm putting them. Am I putting the short one first or the tall one first? And I end up putting the short little squat snowman first at the top of the hill. And then I kind of put the second one at a little bit of an angle. Now at first I try to glue down these presents, but because the snowman are up high and I want the present to be just under the snowman, it kind of was sloping up slightly. And so in the end, although you don't see it here, I do end up putting foam tape behind the presents as well. And I'm also just going to pop up the sentiment, the sending happy thoughts sentiment. And we're going to tape that on. And with the sparkle in the snow and the gold embossing, I don't add anything else to this card. And that's going to be it after we put it on the card base for card number 1. You're seeing me just pull in my score buddy here to line up the card, which I do that, I think, for almost all of the cards because it keeps me from getting really crooked cards on the card bases. So this is card number 2, and I am bringing in the little pencil colored snowman. Now you see she's kind of tealish as well, and I'm using a teal background, which I'm not sure if it came in the kit. I should know that, but I had some in my stash as well, and sometimes I'll pull out papers out of my stash that match the papers in a kit if I've got some already cut. And so this pattern paper is definitely from the kit. And I am going to actually bring in a little oval that I cut out in a shimmer, pearlescent shimmer paper. That's what you see by the snowman. And I fussy cut out the sentiment sending happy thoughts your way out of some matching cardstock from the background. And did I say, yeah, I fussy cut that to kind of go around the sentiment itself. And now I'm just gluing flat the snowman onto the pearlescent paper. I thought about popping everything up, but sometimes flat cards are fun too. Now I'm just going to bring in some kind of some iridescent Aurora Borealis clear jewels in the end. We're going to put some of those on after we tape the card panel to the card base. I mean, I love that background paper. I love that teal blue color. You see, I'm trying to decide what else I want to do to the card when I do bring in the jewels. See, I told you I was bringing in the little gems. You get kind of a sneak preview before you actually see them. Would that be a preview? Isn't a preview something you see? So it'd be like a sneaky, I have no idea what you'd call that. I don't know. So here is card number 3. Now this is the one that I am going to use the stencil that came in the kit, and I'm going to use the Glitz Glitter Gel that came in the kit, and I'm going to put it on a piece of pattern paper. Now, in the end, I probably just could have used some pink paper. I don't think it makes that much of a difference. And it warps the paper quite a bit because it's so wet. But when I taped it down, you can't really tell. And I am just going to tape these sides down a little better now. I do have pixie spray on the back of the stencil, but I think the whole stencil was moving a little bit, even though it was stuck to the paper with the pixie spray. So we're getting that Glitz Glitter Gel on there, and I'm trying to get it on pretty thin, and I'm just taken too much time with that little knife. So I bring in the big scrapbook.com. I can't remember what the name of the white thing is, the scraper. I'll try to remember to link it in the description, just because it's one of those things that really makes putting any kind of gel through a stencil easier. You know, much easier than a credit card or something else like that. And here you're seeing me just take it off real slow. And I don't show it too long, so I kind of slowed this down just a little bit so you could try to see how it looked when it came off. A little wet and soggy. And then I just put it to the side to dry. And here I am with it dry, and I am cutting off a 1/4 inch on both sides so that the pink cardstock that I put behind it, it will go with the pink pattern paper underneath there. And I'm taking that and I'm just going to glue it down or tape it down, as the case may be. Get that nice and centered. Now this, the snowmen that I put on here are the two that I used my zig on. And again, they're in that beautiful teal color. I'm taking a leftover strip of the pattern paper. I believe it's the other side of the one that I put the Glitz Glitter Gel on. And I'm going to pop that up. And yeah, it is the opposite side. So I've got this little strip of paper, and I'm going to pop that up because that's where I'm going to place my snowman. And we get that right there to the side a bit. So no use to, I don't think I did a whole lot of actual scene building for these snowmen. I did make some snowy hills on 2 of the cards. But other than that, my snowmen and just are kind of in, on a strip or in the little oval. And I do have like trees that I have in a little snowy scene as well. But I think all these cards turned out really well. So I had heat embossed Let It Snow on matching cardstock to the background here. And I cut that out. And I put it, of course, on the card where you see it. Now I'm just taping the card base or the card panel to the card base. And we're going to put some little gems. Now these little reddish pink gems came with the kit. And the reason I only used them on this card was this was the only card that was predominantly pink. I didn't feel they'd go with the other cards. And being as I had like a pack of different colored gemstones, I was able to pull those out and use them on my cards, like the clear ones. And I've just, I've got a lot of these kind of embellishments in my stash, so why not use them? And I'm just trying to figure out where to put these, and that's card number 3. Now for card 4, I took the embossing folder and I ran my paper through, and unfortunately it didn't kind of emboss too well at the bottom, but I am putting some snowbanks at the bottom, so it doesn't matter. So I'm just gluing my card panel to the card base, and you can see those beautiful snowflakes there. They've got some really nice texture. And here I am. This is some more of the pearlescent pattern. Well, it's not pattern paper. The pearlescent like shimmer paper. And that's from my stash. And I'm gluing that to the bottom. I've got 2 little hills here. And I'm just, they're a little overhanging there, so I'm trying to cut off just a little bit of that, even up this card base. And I'm going to be bringing in those 3 pine trees after I glue down my hills. I thought about popping them up again, but all I end up popping up on this card is the sentiment. I glue everything else down flat. And see, for these trees, I didn't want to glue them because I thought it might have a little bit of trouble sticking because of all the texture. So I brought in some dot runner from Simon Says Stamps to use on the back of them to make sure that they were able to adhere down pretty good. That way they were touching everywhere that was raised. They're like touching now. Of course, I probably could have used both and made them doubly secure. So getting all that tape runner all over the place. And let me tell you, when you do it like you're seeing me do it, I got like little tape dots on my glass mat. And then I had to go back after I was all done with everything and try to scrape off glue dots. Not the funnest thing in the world, but that's what I get for doing that on something other than a silicone mat or Teflon type mat that doesn't stick. So I'm just cutting off the excess overhang there. One of the little trees was overhanging the side. And now you're going to see me bring my sentiment over that says let it snow. And I am going to bring, I believe, wilted violet. And I think that is. I might be wrong. God. And I'm just going to put it all around the edge of my sentiment. I cut that out using a scallop die, and I heat embossed Let It Snow on there already before I cut it out. You know, because I'm trying to speed stuff up a little bit for everyone. There's videos already 26 minutes. I suppose I could have cut out all of my coloring. You know, I'm not sure how many people like to see that. I know I like watching it sometimes so I can try to improve my skills. It's not helping, but, you know, I try. I'm just wiping off the excess ink off of the little sentiment when I figure out, oh no, I was going to splatter on this. So I'm able to pull it, you know, away in time. And using some white acrylic gouache along with a little bit of water, I sprinkle the little white snowflakes all over the back of my card. Now, I do obviously have this sped up a little bit more maybe than I should because that went really, really quick. And I pop up my sentiment and I put it right there in the upper left-hand corner. And now I'm bringing in just some like purplish lilac gems that match this background beautifully. and I'm trying to be really random about where I place it. And this is going to be card number 4 when I get done with these random jewels. Now for card number 5, I've got 2 more little pencil colored snowman that I am bringing in. And they're going on another little pearlescent snowbank. They're on top of some pattern paper along with some gray Simon Says paper. This gray paper did not come in the kit, but it is one of Simon Says' colors. And I am just putting the pattern paper background on top of it and gluing the little snowbank. Now these snowbanks were all cut out using Pink and Main's border dies. And I am just arranging my little snowmen. They're going to be the opposite of the way I arranged these 2 snowmen on my other card. I'm putting the tall one first and the short one second, and tucking them just slightly under the snow. And I just think these snowmen are so adorable. And they're not popped up at all either. And so I'm using this banner that I cut using Pink and Main banner dies. And I heat emboss Let It Snow using, I think it was a Peruvian blue from Nuvo. I probably should have wrote it down. But it's a blue embossing powder from Nuvo. And I'm just kind of propping it up on the edge there. Now, the reason I didn't want it touching the snowman's hat, and the reason I didn't make it shorter at the top was because this banner die has stitching all the way around, and I wanted to preserve that. I probably could have cut it down at the top, though, without really losing anything. So I glued that all the way to the side of my card. And now I'm just putting some more crystals, the clear Aurora Borealis crystals, down on the card. I thought the blue that I had was too blue, and so I figured the clear ones go the best. And I'm just kind of scattering those over the card base. And it's really, really lovely when it's done. I love all these cards, though, so I've been saying that on everyone. And that's card number 5. Now here are my 5 cards. If you like this video, please hit the like button or subscribe. That would be great. I love everyone who watches, and I love my subscribers, and I am so glad you're here. Bye-bye for now.